Can Zhen Huan, blessed with both beauty and talent, truly outshine all in the imperial harem and enjoy everlasting favor? In the summer of the 14th year of Qianyuan, I found myself almost constantly immersed in sorrow, unable to extricate myself. The scorching heat of the season mixed with the bitter smell of medicinal herbs firmly imprinted itself on my skin and memory, inescapable. Tongli Palace, my residence, was deathly quiet, devoid of its former vitality. All decorations symbolizing fertility and prosperity were removed to prevent me from being reminded of my loss. The palace maids and eunuchs tread carefully, their movements and sounds cautious, as if afraid to disturb my grieving thoughts. The imperial harem was equally silent. The empress alone dealt with the heavy affairs of the harem, and occasionally consort Jing would assist, but such opportunities were rare. With the empress dowager ill, consort Jing was in charge of all the rituals and prayers at the Tongming Hall, as well as managing the affairs of consort K and her child in the Ziguang Palace and the regular prayers. As for consort Hua, now Lady Murong, her rank had fallen from being one of the top 3 consorts to the only lady below the empress, and now even below consort Jing, ranking last among the 3 without even a title. This was a great loss of face for her, leading her to seclude herself within the inner palace, rarely seen, much like the reclusive consort Duan. Although Xianling no longer paid her any attention, he did not further punish her, still providing her with luxurious treatment. The matter of my miscarriage was thus lightly glossed over. Every day I was tormented with regret. Why couldn't I have been more submissive in Mishio Palace, bowing and begging Lady Murong for mercy to save my child? Why did I have to be so stubborn, unwilling to yield? I even regretted gaining favor in the first place. If I had been just an ordinary consort, unnoticed and unremarkable, would she have been so envious and set me in such a deadly trap? Such regrets only hastened my disillusionment and self-loathing. At first, Xianling visited me daily, but my despair and constant tears made it unbearable for him to witness. Our shared sorrow became a source of mutual distress. Eventually, he sighed deeply and left, his sleeves fluttering behind him. Jinsi repeatedly advised me, "Your Highness, crying and grieving like this is truly not beneficial for you. If this continues, even when you recover physically, you might still suffer from tears at the slightest breeze." The old nannies in the palace say that the Empress Dowager fell ill in this way. I was physically weak and managed to say with difficulty, "The Empress Dowager has profound blessings. How can I compare to her?" As I spoke, silent tears fell again. Jinsi wiped away my tears for me and softly spoke her true thoughts. "Your Highness, crying like this will only remind His Majesty of the sorrowful matters between you two. If this continues, I'm afraid His Majesty might no longer wish to visit Tongli Palace." "What good does that do for your Highness?" I murmured. "It's only been a month since I lost the child, not even 100 days have passed. How can I, as a grieving mother, put on makeup and dress in bright colors to gracefully accept favors?" Jinsi was taken aback by my words. "Your Highness is so young, as long as His Majesty still favors you, we need not worry about not having children. It's crucial for your Highness to keep a broad mind. There are still long days ahead. Please don't be so hard on yourself." I was holding a baby's belly band, which I had joyfully embroidered for my child to wear. It was stitched with auspicious patterns of 100 children, and 100 blessings in jubilant red and apricot yellow threads. Every stitch and line filled with the joy and hope of a first-time mother. Now the belly band remained, but my child would never come into this world. Staring at the intricately embroidered belly band, silent tears flowed down my cheeks, and my once competitive spirit turned to ash. This lingering melancholy and anger further weakened my body. After my miscarriage, Zhangmi resigned from his position at the Imperial Medical Bureau due to old age. This time when Shichu came to take my pulse, after examining me, he fell silent, his expression slightly astonished. I gestured for the attending maids to leave and asked lightly, "Is there something else wrong with my body?" He furrowed his brows in deep thought and cautiously asked, "Has your Highness used musk?" Musk? I was surprised. Zhang, the imperial physician, said I must avoid it during my pregnancy. How could I have used it? Besides, where would I have the mind to use fragrances now? He pressed his lips tightly, seeming to weigh his words. "But your Highness's body does show signs of having used musk, albeit in a very small amount, not easily detectable. He suddenly looked up, his gaze intense. "Your Highness." A wave of anxiety washed over me. After pondering for a long time, I shook my head. "I have not." However, speaking of fragrances, I suddenly remembered something. I had only noticed the scent of fragrances in one place recently. So I quietly called Lu Zhu. "Go to the Internal Affairs Department and find a way to get some of the Huan fragrance that Lady Murong usually uses." Once Lu Zhu left, Wen Shichu asked, "Has your Highness been suffering from insomnia for a long time?" I nodded silently and he sighed. "Consort Guan, your Highness's illness is entirely due to excessive grief, internal frustration, and the resultant imbalance of liver fire. Forgive my directness, but this is a sickness of the heart." I remained silent as he looked at me with sympathetic warmth and care in his eyes. "Drinking too much medicine isn't good either. Perhaps try drinking lotus seed heart tea instead." He explained in detail. Lotus seed heart is bitter and cold in nature, which can treat heart fire. It has the effects of lowering heat, eliminating summer heat, clearing the heart, calming irritability, and dispelling internal fire. It can also strengthen the spleen and kidneys, nourish the heart, calm the mind, and treat redness and swelling of the eyes. I looked up, giving a wry smile. "Lotus seed heart, such a bitter thing." He gazed at me for a moment and said, "Yes. I hope the bitterness of the lotus seed heart can soothe the bitterness in your heart." I turned away, feeling an indescribable sorrow in my heart. When Shichu whispered softly, asking the lotus root, "How many threads are there? For whom does the lotus heart suffer?" The two blossoms silently converse, only about the children of old times. "Do you still remember this tune?" I nodded and he continued, "When you were young, Zhen brother took you boating on the lake. You stood at the bow with your hair in twin buns, arms full of lotus pods, singing this song." His voice became soft and enchanting, as if lost in distant, beautiful memories. "Even then I thought, when I grow up I must marry you. But you had the wings of a phoenix. How could I, a mere imperial physician, bind you?" His gaze fixed on me, filled with tenderness. "But seeing you like this now, I would rather have bound you tightly back then, rather than see you in your current state." I had been quietly listening, but his words became increasingly inappropriate, forgetting the difference in our statuses. A surge of inexplicable anger rose within me, and suddenly I flung a silk pillow that was on the bed to the floor. It fell silently, but he was taken aback by my reaction. I took a breath and said, "Imperial physician, one has said too much today. In what capacity do you speak such treasonous words to me today? You are an imperial physician, and I am a consort of the emperor, nothing more, nothing less. I appreciate your feelings, imperial physician one, but if I hear such words from you again, do not blame me for disregarding the years of friendship." I was breathless after speaking so much and leaned against the bed, gasping for air. When Shichu was both pained and ashamed. I looked up, about to speak, when I saw Mei Zhuang standing gracefully by the curtain, her complexion as pale as the white jade bracelet in her hand. Seeing her, I felt both anxious and ashamed, my vision blurring with dizziness. When Shichu's feelings for me were never spoken of, and now, in my position as an imperial consort, such words were even more taboo. To have Mei Zhuang overhear this, despite our close relationship, was embarrassingly awkward. I couldn't help but call out, "Sister Mei." Mei Zhuang coughed softly to mask her expression, but her complexion remained poor, likely unwilling to have witnessed such a scene. She said, "You should rest and take care of yourself." Then she turned and walked away. I knew Mei Zhuang was avoiding suspicion. Turning back to see Wen Shichu looking dejected, I grew even more annoyed but tried to calm my tone. "If you wish to do me, such reckless words can be spoken every day, waiting for those who wish to use them against me. Imperial physician one, we have known each other since childhood. Yet I never knew whether you intended to help or harm me." He was both pained and ashamed, hastily excusing himself. "Your Highness, please don't be angry. Your current condition cannot withstand such distress. I will say no more." Already unwell and now upset, my head felt stuffed with cotton, and I soon fell into a heavy, troubled sleep. I woke up to the dim twilight of early evening, and Lu Zhu had already returned. She helped me take my medicine and rinse my mouth, saying, "Eunuch Jiang said the fragrance was specifically given to us because the emperor ordered that this scent is only allowed in Mixiu Palace and no other palaces." She showed me the small box containing the Huan fragrance. Hearing this, I became even more contemplative. I opened the box to take a look, then closed it and said, "Please invite Beauty in over. Tell her I'm feeling a bit better and would like to have a chat with her." Lu Zhu returned quickly, but without Lingrong. She said, "Juqing said Beauty and has gone to pay respects to the Empress and will come over afterward." I was slightly surprised and casually remarked, "Is she feeling better? It's rare for her to go out." The night was quiet, but the relentless croaking of frogs made it even more irksome. Lingrong sat before me, took a small amount of the fragrance and lightly sniffed it, attempting to discern its components. "There's patchouli, sweet pine, clove, sandalwood, and nutmeg." She sniffed carefully again but didn't continue. Suddenly her beautiful eyes widened, her expression filled with shock and confusion. I asked anxiously, "What is it?" She hesitated briefly before saying, "There's also musk." Indeed, a weight lifted from my heart. Lady Murong, favored for many years yet barren, that was the real issue. It seemed Xianling's suppression of the Murong family and the King of Runan was a long-planned endeavor. His painstaking scheming is admirable, yet the sorrow and resentment within me spread even further. Initially just a mist of melancholy, gradually becoming a dense fog trapping me within. My heart trembled uncontrollably, wondering why I had sudden discomfort in my pregnancy while in Lady Murong's palace, why I miscarried after kneeling for just half an hour. Although I was already in poor health, could it have been due to the Huan fragrance bestowed by Xianling? "Xianling, oh Xianling, in your vigilance against her, did you know you also harmed my child?" Lingrong observed my expression carefully and added, "Did you get this from Lady Murong's palace?" I felt something was off when I was there, but it was just a suspicion then and I couldn't pinpoint it. Besides, being of low status, how could I dare to mention it? Musk is precious, and from what I see, this must be from the musk deer, specifically the gland musk, which is found only in the Great Snowy Mountains of the Northwest. It's extremely valuable, and its medicinal properties are much stronger than ordinary musk. Lingrong didn't continue, but I understood. Women should not use musk frequently. Long-term use can lead to infertility or miscarriage. Thus, although I enjoyed burning incense, I always steered clear of musk. I was silent for a long while before telling her. The imperial physician mentioned that I showed signs of having used musk, which puzzled me since I hadn't used any fragrances since becoming pregnant. After a moment of thought, Lingrong said, "Such musk is very potent and penetrates everywhere. Sister, you spent half a day in Mixiu Palace that day, and that's probably how you came into contact with it, leading to signs of having used musk." I nodded, not wishing to delve deeper into the matter. After some idle chatter, Lingrong mentioned, "The scar on your cheek has almost healed, and that small box of scar-soothing gel must be nearly finished." I gave a small smile. "Only a little is left. It seems your scar-soothing gel really works." Lingrong's smile was gentle and beautiful. "How could we allow your beautiful face to be marred? I just did what little I could." Noticing her voice was much improved, I couldn't help but smile. "Your throat sounds much better. Has the Emperor summoned you again?" Lingrong's gaze dropped, her lips curved into a forced smile, but her expression turned somber. "You've always been highly favored by His Majesty, but now that you're ill, he seldom visits. As for someone insignificant like me, how could the Emperor remember me?" Her words were meant to be light, but to me they felt like a dagger to the heart. In my illness and sorrow, our encounters only brought tears, adding to the grief. Why would he frequently visit a place of such sadness when there are many in the harem eager to welcome him with smiles? Seeing my expression change drastically, Lingrong panicked. "I was just speaking thoughtlessly, please don't take it to heart." I didn't want to make her feel guilty, so I brushed it off with a smile. She then mentioned, "Today when I paid respects to the Empress, she too expressed her thoughts, saying that the Emperor actually cares for you a lot. It's just that he's worried seeing you might bring more sadness due to your recent loss, which is why he hasn't visited often." Seeing me lost in thought, she advised, "Please try to move on. If you can forget this incident and greet the Emperor with a smile, he'll feel relieved too." But how could I simply forget? The sorrow had seeped too deep, casting a perpetual shadow over my heart.
Follow us to avoid getting lost and enjoy endless exciting stories. For more content, please go to the story wall. Homepage to view more exciting novels.